Welcome back to 630 Point of View. Tonight in the Hot Box, Nicole Bradell, former chairman of the North Dakota College Republicans, as well as host of News and Views, Joel Heitkamp. To both of you, thanks for being in the Hot Box. I want to start here. Diane Sawyer did an interview recently with all the new female senators, unfortunately, except for Heidi, because obviously she was at the funeral for our lost National Guardsman, but did an interesting interview. And a couple senators commented about the importance, or what if more women had more power. I want to play this clip for you and get your thoughts. Roll the tape, please.
If we were in charge of the Senate and of the administration, that we would have a budget deal by now.
Do you all believe that?
And what I find is, with all due deference to our male colleagues, that women's styles tend to be more collaborative.
I think by nature, we are less confrontational and more collaborative. And having us in the room, and I think, you know, all of us, not only do we want to work in a bipartisan way, we do it.
Want to work in a bipartisan way, we do it. Now, I hear that. The first thing that comes up to me, and I go, so what, Nancy Pelosi's been dressed in drag the past few years, or what? Nicole, I want your comments. Is it true that if women had more power, would our fiscal problems be solved?
I don't know that. I mean, it's hard to say that women are inherently more able to cooperate than men. I mean, women have fought forever for equal rights. Well, that's, you know, brings me back to my favorite book by George Orwell, Animal Farm. Everyone is equal, but some are more equal. I mean, I can't imagine that women inherently have a more cooperative ability than men do.
Joel, your comments, your sister's going to be a new female U.S. Senator. Your comments on what they said.
Well, I think what she lost in the message was really the fact that women more on a daily basis have to make the peace in the house. It's always been the case. It's always been the case. It'll always be the case.
You're telling me that you don't say, okay, yes, honey, yes, honey.
No, I don't.
Really?
No, I don't know what kind of life you live, Chris.
Oh, man.
Maybe you're living a different life than I am. But I will tell you this, whenever the kids were misbehaving, when everything got a little bit too high of a pitch, it was always Susan. She was always the one that brought it back down to a settle down, come on. And that's how I envision women. I grew up with 5 strong sisters. 5 strong sisters and a mother that was stronger than all of them. And when peace needed to be made in the house and we needed to move forward, they showed strong leadership. I think that was the message of what was being said here today. Over 50% of the population in America is women. Over 50%. Women live longer. Women are highly educated. They've got equal opportunities to everything, as was said here. What is the problem with having more women in leadership positions?
I'm not saying there's a problem, but I'm asking you this. Are you saying that the men screwed this up?
Well, I am saying that egos get in the way. I am definitely saying that egos get in the way. You're seeing it play out right now between the president and the Speaker of the House. Egos
so men have egos, but women don't?
Well, I will tell you this. I'll take them at their word, what they just said. I'll bet you if you put all of them in a room right now and gave them equal power to cut this deal, the deal would get cut.
But what about Nancy Pelosi? I mean, that wasn't a bipartisan on the health care law.
No, it wasn't. I mean, she pretty much did that, you know, all unilaterally. I mean,
she had the votes. She had the votes.
Yeah, but they don't have.
They didn't get one Republican vote.
Wait a second. If the Republicans had the presidency, if they had the House right now, and they had the Senate right now, Obamacare would be gone.
But
period.
Joel, wait a second.
They had the votes. That's the process,
wait a second.
Chris.
You're not listening, because I'm not talking about a R&D paradigm. I'm talking about an F&M paradigm, a male-female paradigm. And we're sitting here saying, hey, Nancy Pelosi she didn't do a great job being bipartisan.
That wasn't her job. She had the votes.
But she didn't solve anything.
Chris, understand the process. Right now, you've got a Republican House and a Democratic Senate. You're going to take and you're going to need to put people in a room, and they're going to have to come to a compromise. Period. That's what the American people voted in. That's what those women are saying right now. They're saying, look, we know the art of compromise. We can produce compromise. What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with compromise. What I'm saying is you make it sound like men are inept at it and women are the only ones that can figure it out.
You make it sound like it's Nancy Pelosi's fault for everything. She had the votes.
We're $16 trillion in debt. Guess who holds the purse strings?
Guess who threw the biggest party in the whole world? George W. Bush. He got a checkbook that was balanced. You got a checkbook. Your party got a checkbook that was balanced.
It was not.
The budget was balanced. The budget was balanced.
There was no deficit. It wasn't balanced.
Of course it wasn't a deficit.
How many times, though, did Clinton veto the budget before he finally approved the one? It was the 3rd time.
It was the tax bill that he put in place. It was the tax bill that he put in place that cost a whole lot of Democrats jobs, that brought us to the point where we had a balanced budget. Let's not lose sight of that. Number two, what vice president said deficit doesn't matter?
Cheney.
You bet it was. It was Dick Cheney, the man with the red Solo cups I've been telling you about.
Everything goes to R&D with this guy. I'm talking about male, female. Now let's move on. Speaking about jobs, right to work in Michigan, they voted it through. Minnesota couldn't get the right to work up on the ballot this year. Your comments on the right to work law that happened in Michigan?
Well, if they're so proud of it, if that's what they wanted as public policy, then do it in the eyes of daylight. Then open the doors, allow the hearings, allow people to speak. Don't ram it through in one day. If it's good, sound policy.
Wait a second. It's okay for Nancy Pelosi to ram it through.
Healthcare
but
was
not
done
for
over a
Michigan.
year.
Yeah, but it was
I mean,
rammed through with
were you
not
guys
one
even
vote.
alive when healthcare was debated? The
I don't
debate
know.
went
Where's
on
my
for a year.
binky?
Your party was sitting, you two's party was sitting there in the healthcare debate saying, look, this is a dead issue. Move on. We're sick of talking about nothing but healthcare. This was debated in the halls of Congress for a year. I argued as a Democrat that Nancy Pelosi and others were too focused on healthcare over and over and over again. What I'm telling you is, you guys want right to work? Quit running it like it's you just jam it through in Michigan.
I think Joel just proved his point about male egos. I feel bad for Nicole. She's sitting there not getting a word in edgewise. Nicole, your thoughts on the Michigan
Diving
right
the
to
third
work?
end of the pool. It ain't my fault.
I'm excited about Michigan's right to work. I mean, they joined 24 other states that have right to work. I mean, right to work states have proven that they have faster job growth, higher personal income. I mean, a family with a non-right to work state that take 15% more pre-tax income to equal a right to work state.
Sure, if you're on the top end. Right to work state's a great thing if you're on the top end.
An
the middle
average
class,
family.
What does the middle class in North Dakota make? What's the average family in North Dakota make, Nicole?
About 40 grand.
I couldn't tell
A
you.
little over 40
I don't
grand.
have a family yet.
We're a right to work state. What's the average income in Michigan make?
Oh, gee, let's move to Michigan where we can't even afford the pensions. You've got 35%
You can't afford the
unemployment.
pensions.
And
Hold on.
The car industry's
You've
doing
got
fine now, Chris.
35%
They would have been
unemployment.
bankrupt
Wait
if
a
you had your
second.
way, but they're fine.
Let's talk about Detroit, okay? 35% of the population on food stamps. You've got 9.2% of the families that are actually married with kids, and you've got 7% of the kids in Detroit that are in 8th grade that can actually read at that level. That's something to be proud of?
No, you're sitting here focused on Detroit when Detroit got hit.
That's part of Michigan.
Detroit got hit the hardest by the economy. Would you admit that? The very same economy where Mitt Romney said,
I wouldn't.
let
I
him
would
go
go to
bankrupt.
California and Nevada and a lot of the places that say it got hit really hard.
Well,
I'd also like
tell
to-
you what, don't be afraid of income. Don't be afraid of making income.
And also, okay, speaking of income, do you know that in right to work states that the average manufacturer employer makes $1.29 more than a non-right to work state?
I can tell you this, when you go to manufacturing states, take a real hard look at where manufacturing states manufacture. Keep getting rid of all the unions, guys. Keep getting rid of everything that we make in America and making all the trade agreements you can. It's completely anti-union.
It's pro-union.
We're going to continue
How
this
in
debate.
the world is this not
We're going to
anti-union?
continue this debate.
That's who they were after, was the union.
After all this, we've got our Feel Good Friday segment coming up. Stay with us. Lots more right here on 630 Point of View. Love to have you join the conversation. Go to our website, 630pov.com.